welcome to NASSCOM Technology and Leadership Forum 2024. I'm Anisha Nair Dhawan, and today we are picking the brains of technology leaders to find out from them how AI and specifically generative AI is impacting lives, lifestyles and businesses now and in the future. I have with me Mr. Pradeep Menon, MD and CEO of HSBC Technology India, joining us now. Thank you so much, Mr. Menon, for speaking with us.
Thanks a lot, Anisha, for having me over.
So the first question to you is, how are you using generative AI to develop a suite of solutions or processes to cross-sell products to your existing customers?
Well, that's a good one. I think it's not so much about just cross-selling. It's also about how we're trying to impact the overall customer experience that anybody who banks with us has, right? So, for instance, there is a lot of investments that's happening in the fraud detection space because AI's or generative AI's ability to actually go ahead and detect patterns in how people can probably try to swindle the bank or make fraudulent transactions can be easily caught. That extends to things like real-time transaction monitoring, because it's a lot easier for us to do it now than it was in the past. I think Gen AI just gives you the power to be able to do that. There are instances where you have a lot of automation in credit approvals, loan processing, just makes the user experience a lot better because people have access to products which can be personalized much faster, having personalized investment strategies being given to them. A lot of that is the art of the possible in this space, which I think we are all working on. I think on the enterprise side, you also have Gen AI helping us on areas like regulatory compliance or sheer risk management, right? Which I think was a little tougher in the past, but there's this whole art of the possible, the whole opportunities that is now available in this space, and that's pretty exciting.
Right. Mr. Menon, unless I'm a victim of a fraud, I'm not going to see fraud detection as part of my customer experience.
Right.
How do you improve customer experience using generative AI? Because I want to talk to you, I don't want to wait, I want a solution made for me right now. So how do you engage the customer using Gen AI, and has it really improved over the years because you're using Gen AI?
That's a very good question. I mean, one of the biggest impacts of Gen AI on banking, finance, or in general across all industries has been it's allowed organizations to make customer experience faster, less expensive, and also better, right? So faster in the terms that if you're going to interact with the bank and there is a call taking process, sometimes your wait times can come down drastically, right? I mean, you just have to wait a lot lower, which improves customer experience. It can be better as an experience because your ability to take care, because it's the sheer amount of parameters that Gen AI model can probably use. It allows you to have a more well-rounded response to what the customer wants, the ability to think through what the customer wants. That improves customer experience. And both of these things has meant that things like NPS is a lot higher now than it used to be in the past. So I think it's kind of win-win when it comes to user experience. Even areas like healthcare, right? If I were to just extend that thought, improving patient outcomes has been a big benefit of Gen AI. I think the ability to think through masses of data, look at diagnostic information, come out with not only first responder kind of things, but even more detailed augmentation methods for doctors. I think that's an area. In the retail space, you see how it's helping enterprises be, for instance, kind of, smart inventory management, as you would call it, right? That's a lot more possible today than it used to be in the past. So thanks to Gen AI to a lot of those things, or the sheer possibilities that come with it.
So, when you talk with Gen AI, people generally think of ChatGPT or Midjourney. So I'm trying to understand, are there industry-specific solutions being developed using Gen AI? And is it easy to implement? Can it be one size fits all, say, for the banking and finance industry, one size fits all for the retail industry? Could you comment on that?
Yeah, that will be the direction of travel eventually. I think right now, as you said, today, AI for a lot of retail consumers, or personally when you consume, tends to be search on steroids, right? I mean, eventually that's what it is today. But that's going to metamorph into very specific areas, in fact, functional areas, which you would go ahead and, so that if you want to build beautiful presentations, right, you'll probably use software in that space, right? There are already Beautiful.ai, Pop.ai, there are options that are available there. If you're going to use something like business, if you want to create business plans, there are a lot of organizations that play in that space very specifically. There will be, a lot of them are still in the initial phases. I think it'll take some time for us to really have industry specific solutions, but I do think that that's the direction of travel. So you will have AIs which in the healthcare space which would focus more on that. You will have AI in the banking and financial services space which would be more, but there will also be large language models that cut across everything, or general purpose models too.
Right. What are the challenges of implementing AI and Gen AI in your in organizations and processes, and what are the solutions for the challenges that come up?
So Gen AI is new. It's been the last 2 to 3 years where it has taken the world by storm, and it's just, I think, late 20s is when it started becoming mainstream, and then especially with OpenAI's GPT 3.5 was the first call, and then GPT 4 was released in March last year, and it kind of exploded after that, right? I think the big challenges is one, as it impacts human beings and the workforces in general, there is going to be some amount of anxiety in people's minds, and I think culture is going to be, organizations have to be careful about ensure that the workforce sees these things in the right light, right? That they are able to come to terms with what Gen AI would mean for them. It will make them probably more productive, it will make them more efficient, it will allow them to deliver more complex items, the mundane work goes away and they are actually freed up to do more value adding work. And but at the same time, just because of the sheer productivity and efficiency, it might also mean that you need fewer people in tomorrow, and that's going to play on people's minds, right? So some of these cultural things which are a little unknown right now, I think whenever there is a S curve and there is new technology or a new wave that's going to impact organizations or technological advancements, this is bound to happen. It has happened in the past, it's going to happen again in the future. So I think that is something that we'll all have to work through. So cultural is one big thing. Second thing is, I think investments in technology and investments in infrastructure has got to keep up with it. So one also has to be very careful, because one other impediment, this is we've got to be very sure that the green footprint of some of this is commensurate with what the world wants. So these are all questions which are unanswered today, but eventually we'll have to sort them out before it becomes mainstream. These are not, I wouldn't call them challenges, they're more the hoops that one has to run through, or milestones that one needs to cover before you move ahead. That's
right. 2024 and beyond, what is the future of generative AI? How do you see it evolving, and what do you think will be the impact?
That's a good one. I'd probably, Anisha, say that if you look at the way the way it is today, there's a lot of AI which is options out there. They haven't necessarily become very commercial, or they haven't started necessarily delivering commercial value. 24 and beyond, you will see that focus. A lot of the investment will now focus on ensuring that there is returns on that. What is the economic value that's going to come through it. Another area which I think is going to be very important for the world is what I would call proactive area AI, or it's also referred to as agentic AI. What does that mean? It means that today you can, I'll just give an example, right? Today somebody is at home, you've left your home, there's no one at home, and but you have monitoring systems that can control the various parameters. But let's say somebody detects a wrong event. Let's say there's a negative health event that's happening to someone. Not only would the AI detect that, let's say there's an aged parent at home, it will go ahead and send the healthcare provider that signal. It will also provide a diagnostic on what needs to happen depending on the history. Or if there's a small, just to extend, if there's a small fire in a certain place from a government's perspective, and somebody, not only will it inform the first responders or the fire trucks that need to arrive, but it will also come back and allow us to take proactive solutions and saying that, well, this is probably caused by this particular item, this is the best response that you have, this is the kind of water hydrant that you need to plug into the system to go make those happen. So that kind of smaller retailization of agentic AIs into, that's something that 2024 will see a lot more of.
All right.
And yeah, those could be two of the trends that I can think of right now.
All right. Mr. Menon, banking is about interpersonal relations and trust. But what we're seeing now is, earlier I used to, wait for a long time, but speak to a human voice who would help me out, and feel, okay, fine, my bank is safe, my credit card is not being misused. Now I have a bot. Please say what you want. These are the three options. So, is the use of AI and Gen AI going to change this interpersonal relation, or is it going to fool the customer to believe that you're talking to a human when it's not a human?
Yeah, no, I think the answer is more complex than that. I think AI will augment customer behavior or augment our ability to serve our customers. It will not substitute the human touch. I don't know what will happen. Might be 50 years from now, things would be very different. The world will be very different. To your point, might be we are so used to working with bots 50 years from now that you wouldn't make a big difference.
You won't even remember
thing. But that's something out there. As of now, I think for most of the world that we work in, there is going to be a lot of augmentation, right, which will mean that, to the point that you made, when you have the wait time, we will ensure that while you wait for your relationship manager to talk with you, that we don't leave you on that call. We actually provide you with information that you want, which is very relevant to you. You know, give you personalized solutions. Since we know you, we'll probably like to look at your behavior, what typically matters to you as a customer, and how do we give you those personalized solutions. So that seems to be the direction. That was a lot more difficult without GenAI as a capability, but now with what's happening out there, the sheer capabilities that it's bringing in, it's become a lot easier to do that, and I think that's how we will probably see the world evolve.
Thank you so much, Mr. Menon, for speaking us. Fingers crossed, the new world with generative AI will be one that everyone will be able to relate to, no matter where they came from. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you so much for having me.